But then an Israeli strategic analyst, he came along and he said, it's very dangerous for Israel to believe it won the war when there was no war. In reality, not a single battle was fought during the 22 days of fighting. A former Israeli foreign ministry official, he said, there was no war. Hamas sat in its bunkers and came out when it was all over. So what did happen in Gaza? On a military plane, at a military level, it's fairly clear what happened. Israel began the attack the first week with an air assault on Gaza. There were 3,000 combat missions flown over Gaza in the course of the 22 days. Every plane came back, none was down, none was even damaged, which is none too surprising because the Palestinians had no anti-aircraft defenses to speak of. It took as much courage to fly a combat mission over Gaza as it does to shoot a fish in a barrel. After the first week, Israel launched what it called its ground and air assault on Gaza. The Israeli troops, they were equipped with special night fighting equipment. Hamas couldn't even see them, let alone engage in a battle with them. So what did happen in Gaza? In fact, we have very excellent testimony about what happened, what you might call unimpeachable testimony. That is, the testimony of Israeli soldiers who, after those 22 days, spoke to what they experienced in Gaza. So let me quote you some of them. Soldier, there was nothing there, ghost towns, except for some livestock, nothing moved. Soldier, most of the time it was boring. There were not really too many events. Soldier, I did not see one single Arab the whole time we were there, that whole week. Soldier, everyone was disappointed about not engaging anyone. Soldier, usually we did not see a living soul, except for our soldiers, of course, not a soul. Soldier, go ahead, ask the other soldiers how often they encountered combatants in Gaza. Nothing, no one. Soldier, there was supposed to be a tiny resistance force upon entry, but there just wasn't any. No battles, no foe, no fighting in Gaza. That's only half the story. For the other half, you can investigate on your own. All you have to do is go to your computer and under the Google search, enter the words, breaking the silence. And if you enter those words, what will come up on the screen is one of the collections of testimonies by Israeli soldiers. And when you get that on your screen, under the search function, just enter the word insane. Insane. And you'll see it comes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Insane, 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 insane. One soldier after another. Although they were interviewed separately, they were cueing each other. One soldier after another kept saying, Israel used insane amounts of firepower in Gaza. Israel used insane amounts of firepower in Gaza. Israel used insane amounts of firepower in Gaza. No battles, no enemy, no fighting, but Israel is using insane amounts of firepower in Gaza. One soldier said, "This was firepower such as I had never known. There were blasts all the time. The earth was constantly shaking." Another soldier said, "On the ground you hear these thunderous blasts all day long. I mean, not just tank shelling, which is a tune we've long gotten used to, but blasts that actually rocked the outpost, to the extent that some of us were ordered out of the house we were quartered in for fear it would collapse." The Israeli soldiers are firing into the distance, but the ground underneath them was shaking from the insane amounts of firepower. And they were being told to leave the homes of the Palestinians they had commandeered, because the homes might fall right on top of them, collapse on them, because Israel was using this insane amount of firepower against a non-existent enemy. So what did happen in Gaza? Actually, some of the soldiers came up with the best metaphors, or I should say, the most illustrative metaphors. One soldier said, "It felt like hunting season had begun. Sometimes it reminded me of a PlayStation computer game." Another soldier said, "You felt like a child playing around with a magnifying glass burning ants." You felt like a child with a magnifying glass burning ants. I was a kid once, had my magnifying glass, not proud of it, focused the rays of the sun, turned the ants into crispy critters. But I wasn't so delusional, I don't think, as to believe I was engaged in a war with the ants. And in fact, the metaphor is exactly right. Like a child with a magnifying glass and burning ants. One of Israel's tools of the trade is the use of white phosphorus. I remember as far back as the 1982 Israeli invasion of Lebanon, when they were using the white phosphorus. But I never paid much attention to the details of what white phosphorus was. This time I looked at the fine print. White phosphorus reaches a temperature of 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. As Oprah would say, as Liz Winfrey would say, try wrapping your mind around that. 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. What did Israel do with the white phosphorus? Well, a respected human rights organization, Human Rights Watch, put out a report called Rain of Fire. And they said, Israel, I'm quoting them now, repeatedly exploded white phosphorus munitions in the air over populated areas, killing and injuring civilians and damaging civilian structures. They dropped the white phosphorus on a school. They dropped it on a market. They dropped it on a humanitarian aid warehouse. They dropped it in 2 hospitals. They dropped the white phosphorus in Al-Quds Hospital, and they dropped the white phosphorus in Al-Wafa Hospital. According to Human Rights Watch, the hospitals were clearly marked, and there does not appear to have been fighting in that immediate area. By the end of those 22 days, with Amnesty International, the 22 days of death and destruction, by the end of those 22 days, 1,400 Palestinians had been